everyone, it's Mithrilda and welcome back to my journey of learning to draw. So, like I said last time, I feel like every time I'm starting to make a video that I have nothing to say, and then all of a sudden, there's a whole lot of stuff to say. And I feel like that's definitely true. Like, I made my native shark deep dive video 2 weeks ago, and between then and now, I all of a sudden have a new trajectory for my entire life. Maybe? We'll get into things. First of all, for homework 17, I tried to push myself out of my comfort zone a bit, well, a lot bit, and paint my Midoriya figurine from My Hero Academia. I feel like I really gave it my best shot, but then it ended up horribly trying to draw it out again. So I scrapped that and moved on to something else. It felt a little bit bad at the time because I was like, oh, my skills aren't developed enough, and I had to waste all this time doing this drawing that I didn't use. But in the end, it was just helping me find my boundaries, and it was a fun experience to try it even if it didn't turn into a painting. I think one day I'm going to come back to this and do it again, and I'll be able to actually paint it, and that'll be really cool. So, art school. The first little seed that came to me about wanting to do this was when I was talking with my mom. And I was telling her about how, oh, I miss eating fish, I miss buying and eating more expensive stuff from the grocery store because ever since I moved out, I've been trying to be, really frugal and save a lot of my money. And that means not eating the same kind of stuff I did when I was living at home. And she told me that I should stop being so frugal. Or she suggested it to me, which was really weird because my entire life she's always taught me to be very frugal and save money, buy things on sale, and make sure I really want something before I buy it. And she told me that since she came over as a first-generation immigrant, she had to be really frugal because they had no money and no opportunities at the time. But that I'm in a different, much more privileged position where I have her foundation and all the things that she taught me. Plus, I'm on a good career route and I know I'll be able to make more money in the future. And she said, you should treat yourself while you're young because I regret not buying some of the more expensive foods when I was younger. I regret not getting a slightly better hotel when we went on vacations because I just wanted to save every dollar. If I'd known that I would be making this much more money now, then I would have enjoyed myself a bit better before. And I said, well, then that means I've got to go to art school. And then she laughed, and then I laughed, and then we hung up. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized that I really do want to go to art school. After all, I've basically been spending the last few years realizing that I need a school environment to learn my best. That I hate teaching myself stuff and giving myself my own structure. After all, if going to college taught me how to do math, which is something that I'm not very interested in, then why can't school teach me how to do art, something that I actually want to do? Up until now, my plans have been to FIRE, to become financially independent and retire early. Basically, in this movement, you save a lot of money, you bring down your living expenses as low as they can go, then you retire at 30 or 40. And then people always say, oh, I could never retire early. What would I do with all my time? And I don't know, what you would do is keep working if work is something that you love, but you always have the option to quit if that job ever turns south, or you just want to go explore the world for a few years. Or you could not work and work on projects and reading and learning and whatever you want. Basically, it just gives you the freedom to do whatever you want with your life without needing a paycheck. So then you can just be super picky about whatever job you want to work. Anyway, so I wanted to work, be frugal with my money, buy a house, become a landlord, do art and YouTube on the side like I've been doing. I'll pass my exams, I'll get raises, make a lot of money, and retire to doing art full time. At some point, maybe in my 30s or 40s. But I've been having sort of a crisis lately. I just really want to be able to do art, to create things, and most of all, I want to see the world through an artist's eyes. It wasn't until I started Evolve that I realized how blind I really am to the world. You don't catch things, and you can't differentiate them, or memorize them, or put them down onto a canvas or a piece of art unless you're trained to do so. And the pace that I am learning this at is just too slow. I have a whole world to see and make into art. I don't have decades to hone these skills slowly. I saw a quote recently and I haven't been able to find it again even after days of searching, so if you know it, please let me know. But it says something like, whenever you do a study or a master copy of somebody else's style, you're not actually trying to learn how they draw something, you're trying to learn how they see. And Kevin talks about how you develop new neural pathways as you learn to draw, but those neural pathways have nothing to do with drawing, they have to do with seeing and observation. The brain upgrades are in your observation skills because you can't draw what you can't see. And people keep talking about these darn fundamentals. Basically, I want to learn how to see, and I feel like that's the key to unlocking the rest of the vast ocean of art. Like, I could skip this and learn specific skills in the skill tree, but that's like learning Japanese just to understand anime. Like, you could do that, but then that wouldn't give you the skills to do anything else. Or you can learn the language of Japanese. And if you know Japanese, then you can watch anime. But you can also read books and manga and newspapers and talk to people. And when you're learning a language, once you learn enough, learning more becomes easy because then you can just play a game or watch a show and have fun and the learning just happens. I feel like the same thing happens with art. Once you learn how to see properly, you see things everywhere and you're constantly honing your skills. Then I'll be able to study so much more effectively from courses, books, teachers, and people's advice. Or at least that's the dream, that's how I see it happening. Not sure if that's how it actually works, but it makes sense to me. I know everyone has their own goals, but mine is to have a really deep, fundamental understanding of these skills, not just enough to skate by. Anyway, so in comes art school. When the idea first came to me, it seemed absolutely absurd. I've never seriously considered going to art school before. My parents have always been completely against me going into any sort of art career, so they definitely would not have funded my art school if I wanted to go straight out of high school. Also, I've never actually met anyone in my life who has gone to art school and been happy with their experience and felt like they learned a lot from it. So it was definitely an uphill battle trying to figure out what I wanted to do. The first thing that came to my mind was FZD, Feng School of Design. All I know about it is that people go in, not necessarily needing to know how to draw, and they come out with amazing skills that are industry ready, and a lot of people get hired right out of school. And I've heard that it has like a crazy workload and like a 50% dropout rate, but if you can get through that, then you come out with skills. In contrast to that would be like going to a college and doing an art major or something. I feel like I've heard nothing but bad things about those sorts of programs and how they just teach you to appreciate modern art and they make you take random classes about things unrelated to what you actually want to do. And most of all, I wanted to get away from the types of students who are unmotivated, skip classes, and do the bare minimum like I saw all around me when I was at college. Like, it makes sense because most people are just there for the degree, and the people I knew who were in the art program at my school were just there because their parents were making them get a degree in something, anything, and they decided to choose art. But that's not the vibe I want to be around. I want to be somewhere people want to be for the skills, not the piece of paper. So back to FCD. This felt like it was it. I'm a very impulsive person and I set my heart on things extremely quickly. I saw the beautiful art and the alumni jobs list, and I felt like I had to be there, that it was the place where I belonged. Plus, it was only 1 year. 1 year of tuition, 1 year of hard work, 1 year of being in Singapore, and I would come back this brand new, amazing artist with a whole new set of skills. So I looked it up and the tuition is about $39,000 with $17,000 in living expenses. So about $56,000 for this whole adventure? Not even including plane tickets to get there and come back for visits. Plus, that's not even including my rent here and all the living expenses I'd still have to pay here in Chicago. So yeah, it would be quite expensive and I need to save all of that up in cash. I may be crazy, but not crazy enough to go into debt for my hobby. Also, I wouldn't have time to do anything outside of class. No YouTube! What's the point of art school if I can't vlog about it? Am I right? So here's Alex Jessup's post about his FCD experience. I feel like it's the most infamous one out there. So he says, before I went to FZD, I was doing corporate transaction tax consulting, and I could hardly draw anything. I did a few pieces of abstract art when I was in high school. When I was looking at schools, I was looking at what would help me gain the skill set I needed to get my foot into the industry. I was not interested in schools that you could cruise through working only 8 hours a day. I didn't care about if the teachers actually cared about me or not, as long as they taught me how to do concept art. I didn't care if the teachers were compassionate and nice. In fact, I preferred that they were brutal and honest. But however they were, I didn't care as long as they taught me how to do concept art. You have to really know that you want to be a concept artist and be willing to give it your all. That doesn't mean work hard for 10 hours a day. That means killing yourself trying to get as good as possible for 20 hours a day. You have to have that mentality because other people do. Case in point, me. And if you don't, they'll get in and you won't. In the end, FZD just tries to get you to crank out as many hours of work as possible. There's a thing called the 10,000 hour rule, and FZD just tries to make sure you get as close to it as possible. If you need 6 hours of sleep each night, you'll notice people slowly but surely pulling ahead. Those people are probably sleeping 3 hours or less a night. Everyone there wants to be a concept artist. You just have to want it more. The school is made for people who think like this. So when I first read all that, I was in a mood, I was in a mood. I was like, hell yeah, I can do that. I believe that I can work hard and I can buckle down and spend a year dying for my art. But looking back on that self of a week ago, I'm like, I like having sleep. I like doing YouTube. I like studying Japanese. I don't know if I'm willing to give up all of that plus $56,000 in order to make this happen. But at the moment, it felt so right, and I could see myself there, and I could feel it in my bones. Anyway, so I branched out a bit further. The second thing that came to my mind is Gnomon in California. I knew that at least one former Evolve student had gone to Gnomon, and that they teach functional skills for going into the industry. But alas, now we have the paradox of choice at play. Unlike FZD, which only has one track to go down, Gnomon has a 4-year BFA degree program, they have several 2-year certificate programs, and they have a 1-year art fundamentals boot camp. The 4-year program has a tuition of $107,000. The 2-year certificates cost $92,000, and the 1-year boot camp is $10,000. None of this including the cost of living in Los Angeles, California for as long as I would need to be there. The website and the videos look like such a beautiful dream. However, I knew in my heart that I wouldn't be able to afford the experience, and 2 years of my life is honestly too much to dedicate to this from the perspective where I'm sitting right now. California is closer than Singapore, but still too far from me, money-wise and spatially. So I looked into some other schools. I came across Sin Studio in Canada and 3D Sense also in Singapore, which are also schools that teach you how to go into industry. Wait a minute, is that Stanley Art Germ Lao? And that's Raiko Tay? Well. Anyway, so I was feeling pretty frustrated at this point. I feel like everything that's super accessible, going to the community college down the street, just wouldn't give me the skills that I wanted in the time frame I was looking for. And the stuff that looks super cool and awesome is such a time commitment, a soul commitment, and money that I just really don't have to dedicate to this venture. So I decided to ask Kevin for his advice. I told him how I was looking for an art school that would give me the skills to be able to have creative freedom and make the kinds of things that I wanted, but without all the fluff of a college degree program. I feel like the situation is complicated a bit, or maybe simplified, by the fact that I don't want to be an artist, I don't want to have a job as an artist, I don't want to do art for a living. I just want to fulfill my soul and to see the world through the eyes of an artist and be able to put down what I want to put down. After telling him about the list of schools that I was looking into, he told me that there were actually 2 current Evolve instructors who were at Gnomon, and to go reach out and ask them for advice. Then he said that instead of any of the options that I was looking into, I could go to New Jersey and study with him at the Art Academy for a year. At his studio, they offer a gap year program for people who want to study art full time. He said that basically I could study an unlimited amount of hours with him at the studio. and learn everything about the painting process, from stretching canvases to the finishing touches, art marketing and business, and even teaching skills. And it's in New Jersey, much closer than everywhere else and a lot more affordable. Plus, I already know and trust Kevin. I mean, I'm partway through block 2 and I've already come so far. I can only imagine what 8 blocks of Evolve plus studying full-time in New Jersey for a year would get me. And once I heard about this, like, every single ounce of desire I felt for any of these other programs instantly transferred over to, I gotta get to New Jersey. It's weird how so many things can feel like the right thing at the time and then not be the right thing. I felt the same thing a few years ago when I learned about the JET program, where you go and teach English in the Japanese countryside for a year. That sounded so amazing and like the exact place I wanted to be. But I don't even want to do it anymore now. And if I had applied, I would still be there in Japan at this moment. Maybe it's because the group I would have applied for would have been last summer, and with the pandemic and all, well, hindsight is 20/20, as they say. So then I reached out to the 2 Evolve instructors who were at Gnomon, and they generously gave me so much information about what it's been like studying at Gnomon, and also what it was like studying with Kevin at the Art Academy. After talking with them, I can confidently say that I have zero desire to go to Gnomon anymore, just given my goals and what they've told me about the school. As you guys have probably heard throughout the video, my emotions can just turn on a dime, but whatever direction they're facing, I keep going until I get what I want. It's so freeing to have this desire just instantly evaporate. Because I know that even if it's impossible for me to go, if I felt like this was a place that might have held the secrets that I wanted, I would always wonder if I made a mistake in not going. I'm pretty sure I won't feel that though, given what I've heard, and I'm so thankful to them for helping me realize that. In addition, I feel even more excited about maybe going through the gap year program at the Art Academy one day, after hearing from these 2 former students who had gone through it. They both talked about the insane progress they saw both in their own art and the students around them. And the cost to do it is something that I can realistically save up for. As of right now, the most realistic plan for making this all happen would be to finish all 8 blocks of Evolve, save up money to do everything up front in cash, and then head off to New Jersey to work hard and build up as much skill as I can in 1 year. And I'll definitely make vlogs about it. This feels really crazy to me. I never thought I'd be the kind of person to want something like this as more than just a passing fancy, let alone make plans for how to actually make this happen. Well, make this happen in big quotes, since I didn't even have the slightest inkling any of this could be possible 2 weeks ago. This desire could disappear as quickly as it hit me. If you've watched the previous videos on my channel, you'll know that I get excited about so many things. And I make a lot of plans that I don't follow through on. Series ideas, books, resources, starting stuff and planning is so fun to me, but the execution could use a lot of work. So I guess we'll see what happens to this idea a few years from now. I think part of this whole thing is just the pandemic in so many ways. Like, I feel like it's made things that previously seemed impossible, possible. I realized that life is short, and having the opportunity to learn from an art master and really hone my skills is something that I want to do. And if I really want to do it, this is the best time in my life to do it, while I'm young and pretty unencumbered with all the heavy things that start weighing on you throughout life. I've also been isolating for the past year and 2 months, and I just miss being outside and being with people and doing fun things. And this might be like a fantasy that my brain has come up with to sort of escape this situation that I'm in. It could entirely be possible that once things open up again and I feel more fulfilled in my life, that this desire will just completely evaporate. You know, it's sort of like how they tell you whenever you're feeling hungry that you should drink a glass of water, because sometimes your body just misinterprets these signals, but you'll be satisfied by water even if you don't know it at the time. I guess I'm just glad that I can't do anything drastic on this impulse right now, and by the time things are all lined up, I'll really be sure whether I want this or not. However, having this new goal has made every dollar so precious to me. Fire and all that seemed so nebulous and far away, and I felt like I had money to spend. But this is so close, I can taste it. Like, I have a box of magic cards back from when I used to play, and I keep hovering between selling them and holding on to them because what if I want to get back into it in the future? I mean, I know a friend who sold his whole collection and then had to buy everything back because he wanted to play the game again. Now I'm like, hey, whoa, whoa, whoa. Those are just dollars that I'm letting sit in a box in my closet when I could take that money, invest it, and have it grow for me to turn my dreams into reality. Like, I thought I was being pretty frugal, but now everything just feels so real. And like, I see so much more clearly how by not selling them, I am truly giving up these dollars that could help me make this happen. Like, ever since I moved here 8 months ago, I felt like, oh, these cards, they're still laying around, but I don't really even know how to sell them, so I'll just like leave them for a few more months. Like, yesterday, I googled it, and at the first game store that I looked up, that's literally 20 minutes walk from here, they say that they'll appraise your magic card collection. Like, it literally took 5 minutes of work. But it took this whole thing to just get me into gear. I've pulled out stuff to sell online, I ramped up my freelancing, I've been trying to figure out how to better monetize my channel, and a million other things to make this happen. I look back on the items on my wish list on Amazon, and I don't even want them anymore. Like, I see the stuff that I want to buy, and none of it feels like it's worth jeopardizing this chance that I have. I've been wanting new clothes, but all of a sudden, when I have this thing that's so much more important, like the clothes I've been wearing for 5 years seem just fine. I guess sometimes you just need a fire to really laser focus your priorities. And I know that this feeling isn't gonna last for long. I guess you would call this motivation, and you can mistake it for like a fundamental change in yourself. But now that I'm old, I've gone through this enough times to know that this never lasts. However, I can harness my newfound energy for the next few days and get rid of my magic cards, get rid of a bunch of stuff, and take that money and put it into investments. I might not change, but I can change my financial situation with this new energy. The money that I'll be using for this adventure is actually what used to be my down payment savings fund, and I've just been like aggressively putting in any money that I have. If I don't end up going through with it and going to New Jersey, I guess I'll have a house at the end, which would be great. Love that. Overall, my main thought is just that it's probably better to be conservative and just save as much money as I can and live a bit more frugally so that when I get to that point a few years from now when I have the opportunity to do this, I'll have enough money if I want to make that choice. And I feel like that option is better than saying like, oh, it's such a crazy idea and I'll probably not want to go anyways, spend too much money, get to that point and realize that I really did want to go, but I don't have the money or the option there anymore. So anyway, that was a whole lot of thoughts. Maybe in a year from now, I'll look back on this and say, wow, I was crazy and pandemic brain got to me and I just wanted to go outside. Maybe I'll look back on this in a year and still be aggressively saving to prepare for these life experiences. I have no idea. These are just a bunch of thoughts. I don't give advice in my videos. I've never said to like do the things that I do, but especially don't do the things that I do in this video. And I just want to say that I am extremely grateful to my parents for pushing me into the degree that I have, for pushing me into the career that I have, because it's only through that that I am even able to think about doing this. If I didn't have my job, if I didn't have something that I could do and stay safe during the pandemic, I would not have the opportunity to even save money to do something wild like this and even dream about doing it in the first place. So thank you, Mom and Dad, for preparing me to be a fiscally responsible, crazy art person. I haven't had too much time to work on Evolve lately, and I really wanted to have Block 2 done by this video, but I only got 2 paintings done. So Homework 17 took me 8 hours and 30 minutes, and Homework 18 took me 6 hours and 11 minutes. So if you want to hear about my experiences studying art full-time in like 5 years or something, subscribe to this channel. It may or may not happen, but you'll hear about how I either crash and burn this dream into the ground, or maybe live it. Also, I just randomly came across this Reddit post yesterday. Does anyone else wish they could just run away from all responsibilities for a year or so and just work on art? And I say yes, I do want that to happen. And if I have the opportunity to make that happen, I feel like I should take it. Life is short, y'all. And I feel like this would be such a fun adventure to go on, even if it turns out horribly. Life is long too. There's a long time to recover from these mistakes. Anyway, thank you guys all so much for joining me today, and I wish you all a safe and healthy week. Remember that talent is a myth. Now, get back to work.